there. So by now you've probably figured out that yes, we are trying to encourage people to step out on the word thread and give words. And to do so, I wanted to share a story with you actually from my own life where I kind of made a nut of myself giving a word and how it impacted my ministry today. I'm doing this via video because I'm supposed to be writing, and that's something God has called me to do, and I am struggling with it. Therefore, as much as I hate doing videos, here I am. So if you have a thought to pray for me in that, I would really appreciate it. But when I was a young Christian, the prophetic came very naturally to me. It was something that I just did. I didn't even know that it was prophetic. It was just, like I said, it came naturally. But then I went through a season after being a Christian for quite some time of great doubt in my faith, and I was in a deep, dry desert. And as I came out of it, I noticed that things that had once come naturally to me no longer did. And I was having to learn how to do them as if I had never known how to do them, or as if they had never once come naturally. And prophetic words was one of those things. So as I began to kind of try to step out and start doing things again and serve the Lord, I go to a conference that Randy Clark with Global Awakening was conducting to teach people how to pray for the sick. And so as I go, it never occurred to me that we would actually be holding healing services to put into practice what we were learning. I don't know, that thought never crossed my mind. So as we go down there, we would study during the day, and we would be taught during the day, and we would have these services at night. And so one of the first things that he talked about was words of knowledge and how to tell if you've received a word of knowledge. And when you do, how you have to be obedient and step up because the Lord's given you something. And if you don't give it out, that you're actually could be negatively impacting another person by not giving what the Lord has given you to share with them. So in healing, words of knowledge can come through feeling things in your body. And so this particular night, during the service, during the praise and worship, I began to feel a tingling sensation across the bridge of my nose. And of course, the battle of the mind, is that a word of knowledge? I don't know. I mean, that's kind of weird. Like, why does somebody have a tingling feeling on the bridge of their nose? Maybe it's just my glasses. So I take my glasses off, and then, the nose, the feeling persists, and I'm going, I don't know, and I'm back and forth. Is it? I don't know. I don't think it is. I think it is. No, it's not really. I mean, if I stand up there, I'm going to look really stupid. Boy, I better not stand up there and look really stupid. Randy may never let me come back to anything like this before. I don't know. But what if I don't share it? What if it is? Oh, gosh, I got to be obedient. So obviously, no longer praising and worshiping at all as I'm going through this complete freak out mode of this weird word that the Lord has given me. And so I was just sure if he would have put a pain in my knee or elbow or something normal that, I wouldn't be in this struggle. And so I decided, though, you know what? If I'm wrong, I'm going to embarrass myself in front of a bunch of strangers. But if it is a word of knowledge and I don't do it, I'm not being obedient to the Lord. So I'm going to risk myself because I want to be obedient to my Father who has been so good to me. So I get up there. I'm not sure when it's my turn to speak, if the words are even going to come out. I share that I have this tingling sensation across the bridge of my nose. The place goes quiet. Can you imagine a couple of hundred people? They're all looking at each other like, what, And finally, this man stands up. I was really convinced he just stood up because he felt sorry for me and said, well, it could be me. So he came forward and he began to share that when he was a young boy, a bucket had fallen and landed on the bridge of his nose. and had caused him some sinus issues, but that he was really okay with it. I mean, it didn't, it was just a fact of life for him. And I loved it, and I prayed for him, and he was like really surprised. His sinus passages opened up and everything. I was like, oh, God, shut up. And one of the things I really loved about that is he was content to live the rest of his life with kind of a stuffed up nose. It was just normal for him. He didn't even think he needed healing. But you know what? Our Father in heaven, he decided something different. Because things that we're willing to put up with, and we're just like, this is just life. This is just the way it is. God's like, no, it's not. I want to heal you. I want to bless you. Get up here. Let me do it. And that's what happened for that man that night. That's not my ridiculous story. That is to set the background of how I ended up in my ridiculous story. So the next day, as I'm spending some time during class, we had this time where we were praying and, seeking the Lord. And I am repenting from shutting down my spiritual gifting from not being obedient to the Lord. And so I'm sharing with the Lord from my heart, that I'm going to be obedient and I'm going to do. And if he will continue to give me prophetic words and words of knowledge, that I will step out in faith and I will follow him. And I'm earnest, and I'm getting this sense in heaven that God's going, oh, really? Yeah, really? Didn't you see me last night? Didn't you see me get up there in front of a couple hundred people and give that goofy word? By the way, you gave me a goofy word. I don't know why you didn't give me a regular word, but you gave me a goofy word. But I still got up there and I said it. I was obedient. I did it to prove to you I'm going to be obedient. You can trust me. And again, the Lord says, oh, really? Oh, not that. Now I know what you mean. Not that. That's not even real. Because, see, during the whole time at this conference, I had been receiving a prophetic vision over Randy Clark. I didn't understand it. It took me a while to even figure out that's what it was. And I kept thinking, all these people see Randy like I do as a spiritual father, as a mentor, and we all want to impress, our mentors. We all want to show them what a great student we are, and so I just can imagine these just hordes of people coming up to Randy all the time, trying to impress him with their prophetic gifting or their words of knowledge or their healing story, and I just didn't want to be one of those people. Okay. I wanted to do all those things. I just wanted to be successful at it. I just didn't want to look like a silly little girl when I did it. And I didn't think this word was going to be my pinnacle of success in impressing my mentor. Turns out I was right. So I decided, all right, you know what? Lord, I want to follow you so bad. Even if I look foolish and make a fool out of myself, I'm going to do what you asked me to do. So I went and got a piece of paper and I wrote down the word on a piece of paper and I stuck it in my pocket. And I decided I would wait for an opportunity just to hand it, to Randy Clark. And it was kind of hard because you can imagine, when he gets through speaking, everybody gathers around him. And I just didn't want to go up in a crowd of people. And I don't know. So that evening, as we had finished up and I was getting ready to go get dinner and we were going to come back and have a service that night, I'm on the phone with my husband. I'm sitting outside the sanctuary and I am sharing with my husband this whole, word dilemma thing and then I have it in my pocket. And as I'm sharing this with him, I look up and I see Randy and I know he's getting ready to leave and he was speaking to one last person and I knew this was my opportunity to get, so I was like, hey, there's Randy, I gotta go. And I hung up on my husband real quick and I go walking over there and right as I get there, that man walked away and Randy says, hey, I'm sorry, I really need to go. And I said, oh, I know this is only going to take a second. I just want to hand you something and I'm reaching into my bucket and I said, I'm just trying to be obedient. And as I reached out to hand him the word, y'all, I am not kidding. Something came over to me and I morphed into a feral kitten. That's exactly, have you ever seen a feral kitten like it wants that food you're trying to give it, but it gets too close and it's like, I'm freaking out, I'm too close to it. I mean, as he reached out to take that from me, I freaked out. I shoved that word in his hand and I turned and I ran away. Seriously. I don't mean I walked. I mean, I am booking it away from this man. And as I am fleeing the scene, I hear Randy go, "Hey, we love obedience." And I just throw my hand up and I go, "Yeah, yeah, huh." And I just kept on going. Y'all, I acted like a bona fide nutcase. I mean, I could have handed in the word like a regular person, but no, I got to act like a nut. And so as I was playing the scene, the most incredible, amazing thing happened to me. I could feel and sense, and there is no doubt in my mind that this is what happened, that God Himself was belly laughing at me. And I think He had a few angels, and they were like rolling in the floor. And as I saw how absolutely hysterical this was to God, all of a sudden I got over myself. I started laughing. And I'm laughing, and I literally trip and fall into a chair because I'm running, because I'm still in a nut, you know. And my hand hits the phone, and I call my husband back. And my husband's used to me doing goofy stuff. He doesn't think anything about it. And so he hears me on the phone, and he's going, "Honey, honey, honey, you got to tell me, are you laughing or are you crying?" I said, "I'm laughing." And I began to share with him what I had done. And there's dead silence on the phone, and my husband says, "You sure you're laughing? You sure you're not crying?" Because he realizes I just made a fool out of myself in front of someone that I never would have wanted to make a fool out of myself for. I mean, this is somebody I wanted to impress. And I said, "No, I'm laughing, and I'll tell you why. Because God thinks it's hysterical." And I can hear him in heaven going, "Baby girl, I appreciate the fact that you said you're willing to make a fool out of yourself to follow me, but it didn't mean you had to actually go out there and do it to prove it, honey." And I mean, he was laughing, and I started laughing. And I'm like, I know, I acted like a real nut, didn't I? And guess what? I realized I acted like a nut. But I was okay. And the reason why I was okay is because my Father in heaven thought it was funny. He wasn't upset. He knew the word made no sense to me. And see, I was embarrassed because the word made no sense to me at all. I mean, it was just like rambling. But it didn't matter because I was obedient. And it didn't matter that I gave this word in a way that I acted like, I needed to be put in a straitjacket or something because I was being obedient to my Father. And even as my mentor hollered after me in grace as I was fleeing the scene of my silliness and said, "We love obedience," so did my Father in heaven. And that was the only thing that mattered. And I was blessed. And it took God about a year and a half before He showed me that word actually made sense. I don't know if it made sense to Randy. He never mentioned it. I kind of kept hoping in one of the classes that came afterwards that he would mention about how somebody stepped out and gave him this word and it really meant something to him, but he didn't. He never mentioned it. I don't know if he, ever thought the word meant anything, but I know that it did. And so I encourage you. I know what it's like to feel like this is stupid and I am just burning with embarrassment. Do it anyway, because you're going to find out that you don't have to make a fool out of yourself like I did. As you step out, give the words. People are blessed. God is giving you a blessing to give to someone else. Don't throw that blessing in the trash can. Give it to its rightful owner, and you'll be blessed too. I hope this helps you. I hope you have a Merry Christmas. I'd appreciate some of your comments to see if the story meant anything to you all, if you just got a good laugh. Either way, it's all okay. God bless.